So this evening is the second of 4 lives that I should be doing. Last week I talked about alternative incomes, other ways that you can make an income that wasn't involving, turning the oven on, things that you can do to generate an income. So that's last week. There's the blog to go with it as well. So if you missed last week, you might want to go back and find that. There's links all over the place. So you might want to go back and find that, because things I'm talking about tonight also refer to what I was talking about last week as well. But I think you'll get the gist. You'll get the gist if you did miss it. I need to put my glasses on because I'm now reading from my blog notes. So let's think about where we're up to here. So if you have decided as a business that you need to create another source of income, you want to adapt or pivot or diversify, there's lots of different words for it. It may well be that you need to appeal your new product that you're thinking about might appeal to a completely different audience, customer base than the one you have now. For example, when I was at the beginning of lockdown, I use this as an example because it's sort of perfect example of pivoting and diversifying. So wedding baker, I had weddings lined up for 2020, so on and so forth. And then of course there was that one afternoon in March where everything changed, didn't it? That half an hour or so from the Prime Minister, who said, no, everything's stopping. Very long story short, I talked about it a little bit more last week, but basically what I then did was I set up my support business for home baking businesses. Now, what I needed to do, I didn't really understand this at the time. I had to learn a lot of this on the way, as I was doing it. But if you think about it, when I was selling wedding cakes, everyone, people that followed me on Instagram and Facebook, customers that I had were people that either wanted a wedding cake or had a wedding cake from me. What I wanted to then do was create a new product, which was selling, training and baking courses, but business based. And of course, wedding couples, that's completely irrelevant. They wouldn't want to know about that at all. So there's no point in me trying to tell them about that, because they'd have no interest. I wouldn't get anywhere. So what I had to do was build up a new audience of people who were likely to want that, i.e. you lot. Okay. So you have to consider what it is you're going to be thinking about selling, and then think about, is it the same audience that I've got at the moment? Is it more or less the same, or is it completely different? Okay. So, for example, we talked a bit last week about, you might want to think about self-publishing, bringing out books or recipe books or how to bake kind of things. If your main customer at the moment is buying treat boxes and, delivered brownies, that kind of thing, they're people that you would think either haven't got time to bake or they can't bake. In which case, if you're then saying, well, here's my courses, here's my, my information on how to bake, you might well get crossover there. You might get the same people with that. However, if your audience are either, young mums with children who are too busy to bake, or they're perhaps older people who don't want to bake and they want to buy your things. If you suddenly set up as a wedding baker, suddenly started selling wedding cakes, those customers completely irrelevant. A young mum with a baby, unlikely, although possibly, but less likely. Elderly people, less likely. Okay, so you've got to think about who your new product is aimed at. Okay. So here's a few things that you need to think about when you're creating, a different stream of income. First of all, think about, do you need to create a new profile for yourself? For example, I already had my wedding cake, Instagram, Facebook, not TikTok. I'm still trying to get sorted with TikTok, but it was mainly Facebook and Instagram. Leading lady cakes, you can see them on the wall behind me. Got quite a specific logo involving my green, you see my green mask at the back there. That's on my logo. But I realized that, an audience of people, of home bakers who wanted to start a business, that's going to be completely different. So I created a new logo. I set up a new Facebook page, a new Instagram page, with the view to, the people that were going to come to that would be people that potentially might want to buy my products that I'm going to offer. Okay. So will you need a new business name, or will you use your business name and adapt it slightly so it people can see the connection? I decided to do two completely different things. But you might want to relate one to the other. It really depends on how far away from what you're doing now what you want to do is, if that makes sense. And think about, your name, your logo, your kind of colors, your branding, appearance, that kind of thing. If you decide that you want to, go afresh and start again or start a new one, I mean, obviously you don't have to abandon what you're doing now by any means, but think about how your new product, how you're going to sell it, how's that going to look, your profile for that. If you're still going to be serving current clients, you've got to still keep consistent with that. For example, if you're doing the treat boxes and the brownies, I'm getting hungry thinking about that, and you decide to bring in luxury wedding cakes, or wedding cakes, luxury or not, and your customers suddenly all they see now is wedding cakes, then they're gonna sort of drift away from you, aren't they? You need to keep up what they will buy as well as your new things. Okay. So yeah, don't completely disregard all the customers that you have now, even if you're diversifying. You get my meaning, don't you? You know what I'm talking about here. You want to keep your valued customers. If you're still providing that service, if you're still doing treat boxes and brownies and things, you want to still keep their interest, and you want to still keep them engaged with you. Okay. So yeah, so don't let them lose interest. Sorry, my brain's gone a bit mushy. Been a really long day today. If you're going to offer your current clients something new, but something that they will want, then think about how you're going to launch it. Think about how you don't just sort of put in an odd post saying there's something, you might want to buy this. Make a bit of a big deal about it. Now, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to talk about strategy and planning, and I'll talk a bit about launching new products in that session. But yeah, what you don't want to do is just, oh, this is new, do you want it? you want to sort of get up a bit of a frenzy about anything new that you're creating. Something I don't do enough at all, and I know that, and I'm trying to sort myself out so that I do it. But you need to create a little buzz about anything new that you do. Okay. The next thing is finding new customers for new products. Don't wait for them to come to you, because they won't. What you have to do is you have to find them. You have to search them out, and you have to engage with them. And I'll tell you a couple of ways to do that. So think about the ideal client, the typical person who would buy what you're thinking about. So for example, if you're thinking, oh, I want to set up classes for people that can't bake. What kind of person is that? What kind of accounts will they look at on Instagram? Will they look at, for example, the Great British Bake Off? Will they be watching that? Will they be watching, other foodie type accounts? Will they be watching how-to accounts? When I set up as a wedding baker, and it took me a while to realize how to do this, what I did is I looked at accounts that wedding couples might look at. So for example, venues in my area, florists, people that do, bars and catering and that kind of thing. So I went into those accounts. And what you do is you go into there and you, with the aim of being helpful. That's the first thing you need to think about. How can I be helpful to these people? Not how can I sell? Don't go in and go, do you want to buy this? That's no good. That's no good. What you want to do is go in, comment on things. Oh, those are lovely flowers, beautiful colours. What a lovely venue. How lovely to be married there. You get the drift. And then eventually people, that the account that you're commenting on will perhaps notice, oh, this person keeps commenting. How lovely, and they'll interact with you. And then people that are following them will then notice you as well and think, oh, who's this person? Who's this Annie Bennett leading Lady Cakes? Oh, she's a wedding cake baker. Oh, we need a wedding cake. Do you see where I'm coming from? So think about the kinds of places that your ideal client will be, who they will follow, and go and follow them too, and engage and chat and support and give advice, those kind of things. You can also do it with Facebook groups, but there are a few sort of caveats with Facebook groups that I'll come to. As a wedding person, a wedding supplier, to start off with, I did go into some wedding related groups, particularly local ones, but actually I found them, they were just full of suppliers advertising, a lot of them. So I came out of them. There's no point, there's no point in me putting an advert that only other suppliers will see. What I needed to do was find groups that had couples in that were wanting advice, and then I could advise them on cakes and that kind of thing. When I started my training business, what I did is I went into, because there are loads, as you can probably imagine, there are loads and loads of cake decorating groups, cake baking groups, that kind of, for different sort of focuses. I'm a member of one that talks about pricing, and there are other business ones. But the key to those isn't to go on and go, oh, do you want to buy this? In fact, don't do that, because the admins of that group might go, no, out, because the chances are that the admins of that group have things of their own to sell, and they're not going to welcome other people just coming in and saying, buy this. If someone comes into the home baking business community and the first thing they post is, I've got all this stuff for sale, and they're obviously a business. For example, there was one company a few months ago that sold foil baking trays. They didn't really say that on their profile when I let them in, but as soon as I'd let them in, they flooded the feed with different baking trays and the prices and how to buy them. So I got rid of them, because although some of you say, oh, that might be quite useful, if everyone came into the home baking business community and just tried to sell things, all the advice and questions and things would get lost. So that's why I don't have that. So just be careful with that. Now, I'm going to show you something that might blow your mind now. I'm picking this up. You might be disappointed, but no. When I learned to do this, it was like, oh, wow. So if you are, oh, my mouse has died. If you are in a Facebook group that you think a lot of your ideal clients are in, what you can do is change your profile. I mean, your information about you in that group, so that when you interact with people and chat with people in that group, if they click on you, they will see this information. And let me show you. I'm going to share. Hang on, where are you? So I am a member of, being an ex-teacher as well, I'm a member of a group, a Facebook group to do with teachers who want to get out of teaching. Okay. My ideal client in a certain way, because A, I was a teacher, so I know their struggles, and B, a lot of them want to set up their own businesses. And a lot of them want to set up baking businesses. So ideal for me. So this is, can you see this? Hang on, let's find it. There we are. So this is the home screen. So it's Life After Teaching. That's what it's called. There's quite a few members in there as well, which is ideal. Fairly pointless joining group if there's only a few in there, because you're not going to be engaging with a lot of people. But anyway, that's by the by. Now, if you didn't know this, look at this. So there's me there. Oh, smiley me. Can you see when I hover over it, a little box comes up and it says edit profile. So if I click on that, what happens is the information that anyone in that group will see about you is here. So you can change your cover photo in that group. You can put a bio in that group. So on mine in here, I have the Home Baking Business Community UK group, the group that they can come and join. Okay. I'm not even selling on this. I'm just inviting them to this group. Okay. The cover, it's the same size as, you know, your Facebook cover, but it's only whatever you put in the group is only seen in the group. Okay. And you can edit it and change it. Okay. In fact, I'm going to change this because I've got a new cover. Where is it? Something. Because I've put all my media trust tags on there, all the publications that I've been in. So I want to put that in, because someone in that group who sees, oh, this person's talking about baking businesses. What do they know about baking businesses? And they go on and they see those and they think, oh, perhaps she does know a little bit about it then, because she's featured in all those places. So there we go. So that is there. And then the little bit there with my link there, they see that. So if I actually click on my picture here, this is what, and you can do it in our group as well. If you click on someone's picture, this is what comes up. Generally, their last post or anything that they posted in the group comes up, not comments that they've made, but posts. So that was the post that I put in the group. I don't post a lot in this group. What I do is I go in and I answer questions, or I chat to people. But can you see my Facebook? No, it's not a link, but it's still there. Okay. And the other thing is, if I click on my cover photo, oh, look, I haven't put it in there. I can edit that to include, hang on, let's see if I can do it here. Oh, no, it won't. But I can edit that. I can put my information in there as well on that bit. So anyone in the group that wants to find out more about me, that knows about this, will be able to do that. Okay. So that is how, there we go, let's bring me back. That is how you can set up a profile in another Facebook group, and get people knowing who you are and about you and what you provide, what services you provide. You know, if you're going into a group and you want to sell your journals or your recipe sheets or your classes on baking, put all those things on the, on the picture and in the bio, So you're not overtly selling in the group, but it's there for anyone that's interested in what you do. They think, oh, who's this person answering all these questions and being helpful? Ah, look what they provide. Okay. So once you've started, you've set up your new profile or your new accounts or whatever it is, and you've started to get followers, it's really important that you nurture them, that you talk to them, that you engage them. Don't just, for example, on your Insta page, don't just put pictures of your products every time. Here's my new brand, my new journal. Here's my new journal. Here's my new journal. Here's my new journal. What you want to do is create an atmosphere, create a way that they can get to know you so that they can then like you and they will trust you. The know, like, and trust factor is really important in business. If you don't know about a company, you're far less likely to buy from them. If you like a company, have good vibes, the people you talk to in that company are friendly, you're going to like them. If you've bought from them and it was just perfect service, you're going to trust them, aren't you? So once you have your followers, once people start commenting, I mean, a lot of you I know do this already, so I'm talking to the converted here, but if someone puts a comment on, oh, that's a beautiful journal, or those are lovely whatevers, you can start chatting to them, really engage them. Okay. And then other people will notice. The algorithm is such for Instagram and Facebook that the more you do that, the more people engage, the more that your things will be seen by others anyway. Okay. And particularly for reels. I mean, most of us know, don't we, now that reels are what get shown to people that aren't your followers. Was that English? I don't know, but you get my drift, don't you? So if someone engages with you on one of your reels and puts a comment back, for goodness sake. Get them involved, get them to like you, because the far more chance of then following you to see what you're going to do next. Okay. So all that I've talked about so far is mainly everything you can do without spending any money, or possibly, if you're going to rebrand and do logos and things, you might want to spend a bit on that. But on the whole, most of that is just going to take time, and it does take time, and it takes consistency. If you decide that you want to invest a bit and go for advertising, the same rules apply. Make sure you're only advertising where your potential audience are going to see you. That sounds really obvious. But you've really got to think about where you're going to advertise. For example, I was phoned up a couple of weeks ago by the people doing the brochure, this season's brochure for my local football club. I mean, I have no interest in football. I never go to watch football. Not that that's got much to do with it, but they phoned up and they said, we can give you either a full page or a half page or a quarter page or whatever it is, and it'll be in this season's brochure. So I thought, okay, well, it might get me sort of known locally. My name might get known to anyone that goes to the football match and opens the brochure. They'll get to know my logo and stuff. But the cost of it, I think it was about £250 or something like that. It was quite high. And I thought, actually, I'm not going to get a return on that. That is an awful lot of money to be in front of people that aren't my ideal clients. People that go to a football match aren't all going to be people that want a wedding cake. Again, sounds obvious. Had it been sort of 50 quid, I might have thought, okay, well, it might be worth it to get my name out. People know my, name locally. But for 250 or whatever it was, I thought, no, it's not worth it. What I do spend on a wedding directory, an online wedding directory. It's called Hitched. I'll talk about this a bit more next week. But anyone that goes into that website and searches Southeast, because it's searchable, they are my ideal customer. You know, on the whole, they might be wanting a slightly different cake to the one that I provide. They might go to another baker who has things more geared to what, you know, their style is. But potentially every single person that goes onto that directory is someone who needs a wedding cake. And it will potentially be a customer. So that's money far better spent. So yeah, think about where it is you're going to advertise. Are the people that are potentially going to buy what you're selling going to be seeing it? This sounds obvious, but actually when I first started up, these were things that weren't obvious to me. So I'm sort of passing it on, if you like. You can use Facebook ads, but I would warn against just boosting. Now, I don't know much about the ins and outs and the technicalities of Facebook, but I do know lots of people who do. I do know lots of experts in Facebook ads and people that work with them all the time. And they tell me, don't boost. Don't boost. The reason that you don't just boost a post is because you don't get all the information that you do when you set up a proper ad and you give out a proper ad. When you set up an ads account and do a proper ad and work, and go all through and put in, what kind of things you want them, the kind of person you want Facebook to show your ad to, you can do all that. And then as the ad is running, it'll tell you how many people look at your ad, how many people click on your ad, how many people have actually done, loads of information that you can get that you can then use. And it'll tell you, give you so much information. So boost might be a good quick way of perhaps getting a few things sold. But in the long run, it's not going to be that helpful. You want that information so that you can build on it. Be a bit more strategic, really. Excuse me, I need my tea. If you want to know about more about Facebook ads, I mean, all these things, as a business owner, it's really important to, search out places where you can learn about these things. This is what I did when I set up Annie Bennett Business. I learned about an ideal client. I hadn't got a clue what an ideal client was, but I've learned it all since. I learned about Facebook ads. I've learned about how to use Instagram, all these things, because I've gone into Facebook groups. I've done training, either paid or free. I've done both. And I've soaked it all up and I've seen how it's going to benefit my business. So you've got to think about your business as you've got to get the information so that you can sell your things. Don't be shy of taking on new information to benefit your business. And finally, because we're at 8 o'clock now, the one thing that I would say is the most important is whatever you do, make sure you stay visible to everyone and be consistent. Whichever audience it is you're wanting to attract and engage with and eventually sell to, you've got to be visible to them and you've got to be consistent. People have very short memories these days. If you get all enthusiastic, as I've done this previously, get all enthusiastic and think, right, I'm going to post every day this week, and you post every day. And then you get worn out on busy and you're doing other things, and then you don't post for a couple of weeks. A, your customers are going to forget about you. And B, if it's Facebook and Instagram, the algorithm's not going to like that. They're not going to show you your things. If you keep consistent and keep up, then you're going to build. It's like, keeping the momentum going, if you like, and keep engaging. I try and have at least half an hour every day where I just go in, I just look at posts that are happening. I make comments, I make suggestions, I might help, and I make that a point. That's a business strategy. I'm not just faffing about on social media. I'm actually doing that for my business. It's a business strategy. And the very last thing I'd say, my favorite 3 words, which I think quite a few people know now, my favorite 3 words: be determined, have determination. None of this is easy. None of this will be quick. But if you're determined, then it will work. Okay. If it was easy and it was quick, everyone would do it. So give it a bit of determination, bit of grit. Stick with it. Have perseverance. If things don't work, persevere. Find something else that might work instead, and be resilient. You know, things will happen to knock you, to make you feel a bit rubbish, perhaps. You know, I've been through the whole thing. But if you're, you know, get a bit of armor, know what you're doing is brilliant, and you can't fail. If you're determined, you've got perseverance, and you're resilient, you can't fail, honestly. I've talked in so many different groups and to so many different people about this, and it's true. You know, from Oscar winners to Olympic medalists to people who have their own business, those 3 words are really, really important. And I shall leave it there. Oh, thank you, Maria. That's very nice of you to say. So Maria, thank you, Maria. Let me show that. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Adele, you are so true. You have to be in it for the long term. So true. And I think what I said last week, did I say it last week? Are you a baker who just happens to have a business, or are you a business owner who bakes? If you consider yourself a business owner, you are going to do everything in your power to make sure your business succeeds. Okay. That level of sort of awareness and professionalism and understanding and wanting to soak up all the knowledge and everything to make your business a success. That's what's going to do it. I feel I should sort of have trumpets blowing. But yeah, absolutely. Be a business owner. Someone said this in the home baking business community a few weeks ago, months ago, whenever it was. And it's so true. Be a business owner who bakes, not a baker who just happens to have a business. Anyway, there endeth this evening. I'm going to go downstairs and make my dinner now and watch Shetland. Have you watched Shetland? Oh, it's fabulous, Shetland. If you like a good dramatic programme with lovely scenery, watch it. It's fabulous. I'm also going to upload this live onto my blog. So my blog will come out either later this evening or first thing in the morning, and it'll have the link to the live in it. So if you're a glutton for punishment and want to watch this again, it will be there for you. Okay, my lovelies. So have a good week. Whatever it has in store for you, you know, whatever you feel appropriate to do over this next week, just go for it. And I will see you next week, where I'm going to talk about moving into sort of high-end things, so wedding cakes, you know, events, perhaps corporate, that kind of thing. So, you know, how to go about that and a few tips about how to do that. And then the week after, the 4th of the sessions, we'll be talking about, you know, planning and strategy and how to get it all organised so that you can do it in an organised and planned way. All right. Okay, then, my lovelies, I will leave it there. Have a lovely evening. Have a lovely week. And I will see you next week. All right. Toodaloo.